pneumatic. An open caisson is a structure that is usually shaped like a box. It is open at the top and bottom. The caisson is usually constructed on land, then floated into position and sunk so that the upper edge is above water level. The caisson has a cutting bottom edge so that it sinks through the soft silt on the bed. Inside is a series of large pipes or dredging wells. These are used to dredge up the bed material. As more material is dredged up, the caisson sinks and more sections are added to the shaft to keep it above water. Once the caisson reaches the correct depth, concrete is laid to seal the bottom, and then more concrete is poured into the caisson to form a solid post. A pneumatic caisson is similar to an open caisson, but it has an airtight bulkhead above the bottom edge. This is fitted with airlocks. The space between the cutting edge and the bulkhead is called the working chamber. In this space, the water is removed using air pressure. Construction workers can then enter the chamber and excavate the soil. It is important that the air pressure in the chamber be carefully monitored so the workers do not get the bends. But how do engineers pick which technique to use? This all depends on the condition of the site and the technology available. These are important decisions to make that only experts can fully handle. Now that you know a bit more about how bridges are built, you can admire them even more. After all bridge building techniques are impressive.
There you've seen how a bridge is being constructed and all those, all the proceedings that they go through. So to all the physics students out there, you can easily tell. Well, more
there
physics
is balance, check and balancing. There is poles that are anchoring, giving enough support. And you see the technology that they are using. Everything is measured, like everything is calculated for. I think that's why they study physics.
Police system, no sketching,
yes, to balance the water, but also engineers go down there before and check. First of all, they need to know the kind of water. They don't just put a bridge anywhere. So they have to survey, just like Bogendo Zimbwe Nyumba. Yeah, very good.
Wow.
But you could be wondering because you were seeing vehicles passing and you're like, what if Zigwam, what if anything happens? Anything cannot just happen like that unless there has not been a quite effective survey. But when constructing bridges, people take it, the contractors, even the government actually, they keep on surveying the state of the bridge. Thereafter, you have had where people or the government comes out and say, this road is out of bounds or this bridge is out of bounds. Like, they're giving it time for rehabilitation. So when the Entebbe Express or any other bridges in the country here, when they are yet to expire, because that time is there.
Yes,
after whether 100 years or whether 60 years, yes, there is that time when the government will say, the express is olutindo lutuse kolachi ku okudabiriza, right? Kudabirizibwa. So when they tell you, the kids who will be watching this or anybody who will be watching this, like when they tell you, please, it's out of bounds, respect that and just go with that, because these programs are there to help infrastructure development in every economy.
Yes, definitely. And also this applies to even other, like you said, other roads, because roads are normally given lifespans, and you could tell, or even if it's a building in most cases, we've seen buildings that are being either never chimenya, never dam, never zimba buto, or they normally have a way they try to rehabilitate it or re-establish something or make sure they add more things or the poles that are giving it a huger or a more lifespan. If the things break down, a number of lives or a number of businesses are mainly affected. Now, for instance, if a bridge is connecting now, let's say Karuma, the Karuma Bridge in the northern part of Uganda. If it is to, God forbid, if it is to break at this time, you could see a number of businesses that would be shattered in a scenario
if it breaks abruptly without a warning from the government, that's tragedy. That's a crisis actually in transportation
so it would take
of
a
goods
long
and
run for
services.
people to reach town, and yet that would be the easier route to connect to the western to the northern part of Uganda. So you could see what it means.
When you look at these bridges and constructions, like we were saying, we're different. We're different towards reactions. We're different towards things that come across, things that come to us on how we connect to them. You have seen not only bridges, there are roads in the country that have been, restricted, like restricted area, restricted zones. I don't know whether you have watched news and you've seen people, for them, but you do not know why actually that road is being closed. They are your lives are in danger in case you're to use that particular road. So that's why sometimes they close these roads. But also the government should never take long, to rehabilitate or to put up effort to put back construction on or rehabilitate these roads, because goods and services still need to continue moving towards our daily lives. But also when we're moving on still on our discoveries, many of you have often thought of, thinking about how deserts actually, trees grow in deserts. Not so.
Yes.
Like you're thinking.
You see a plantation, or you see a mini forest in the desert, and you're like, hey, how did they come up with such? In such atmospheres that they have, or even the weather conditions that are being affected. Yes.
Yeah, so you keep thinking, like, how does that plant even grows? But also you have to know that places where water is scarce and sunshine is very plentiful, all they need is water to support their environment and to support their plants, whether they're artificially planted or natural growth, because otherwise, that's why there is a desert anyway. That means there is no natural growth that is going to happen or take place in that particular area. That is why water is very important, especially in these semi-desert or arid areas around. And now we've got Senegal here, one of the communities that actually is using solar now, taking advantage of solar system, taking advantage of renewable energy to pump water and irrigate it across the desert so that a lot of activities can happen. And when you irrigate, you create life. So life for plants is created, life for even animals, because when a forest grows, animals will have where to stay, and you never know what comes after that. Take a look at the video. We do return and have more talk onto this one. Look at how Senegal is using solar energy to pump water across the desert areas.
Here in southeast Senegal, these women are gathering the produce from their flourishing vegetable garden. But only a few years ago they were struggling to grow anything at all due to soil degradation and lack of water, an effect of climate change, says Iwan Daiwa, president of this women's cooperative.
Before it was not easy. Due to lower rainfall, the soil became degraded and there was no more land to cultivate. We were going to move away, but now thanks to solar energy, we have enough water to develop our land.
This solar energy is used to pump water from the wells, ensuring that the 65 women in Ours cooperative have a steady supply for irrigation. This is part of a $30 million investment by the Global Environment Facility and the UN's International Fund for Agricultural Development. Working in a quarter of the country, they are improving irrigation systems and water management, and introducing farming practices more suited to the climate, which is having a major impact on the communities, says the project's Abiboulaye Ba.
With the adoption of good farming techniques that are more suitable to the changed climate, the project has helped improve soil fertility, which has led to an increase in productivity, permitting the community to improve their standard of living, their health, as well as their nutrition.
One technique to adapt to the changing climate is to diversify production. It makes for a more varied diet and there is less chance of going hungry if one crop fails. Now, with access to so much water, these women can grow a variety of vegetables. And they have also started fish farming, a new business that provides them with a good source of protein and another product to sell at the market. To make the most out of their yields, the women have also learnt how to process their own food. Ira says they can earn more and at the same time cut down on waste.
Before, parts of the garden crops were not sold and were likely to rot, but by processing products like tomato sauce or jams, we were able to make a profit and create a fund to finance other activities.
With this extra money, farmers can buy livestock and other foods. Ira, who was widowed 5 years ago, can now look after the 21 members of her extended family, including 8 children and 8 grandchildren.
We have had record yields, and this allowed us to rebuild our house and buy sheep. Each woman in the group has at least 4 sheep, and some have bought oxen, others furniture. This project has had a very concrete impact on our lives.
In a nearby village, more suitable crops are helping other farmers like Ajay and Rao make the most of their limited resources. Here, they are now growing a fast-maturing rice variety that can thrive with less rain.
Good agricultural practices and technologies have saved us. Now we have less good land, but with seeds that have short cycle and high yields, instead of farming many hectares, we farm a few and still get a large production.
Ira and Ajay are amongst more than 32,000 families who have improved their nutrition, health and incomes through these changes. And more importantly, they are now better equipped to face an uncertain future and to cope with the challenges of a changing climate.
Very well, there you have it for Senegal, how it's actually pumping water for irrigation using renewable energy, that is solar. And just to let you know about the sustainable energy for the database globally for Senegal, you see that a number of people, okay, there is electricity just in the country here in Uganda, but when you look at rural electrification in Senegal is still at an upcoming, I can say upcoming level. Like they're also still catching up because a number of rural areas are still lacking electricity, but it's not stopping them from using solar, which is why they actually invented into pumping of water in pumping of water from solar energy or from solar entities. And also when you look at how the communities are benefiting from there, you have seen the if you were watching right on the screen, the products that were being gotten after irrigation, they are really, I can say they are different if you're to wait for the natural growth. But comparing chibiringanya chetulabye with this other, okay, comparing it with the eggplants around here, you might find that the irrigated eggplant or irrigated vegetables will have more nutrition or will have more nutrients than leaving them to, you know, to come up naturally or grow naturally. So you find that the yields that you're going to be yielding in case you're irrigating it for agricultural purposes, you're going to reap in big because your production will increase in case you're irrigating. And it depends on how you're using the water anyway, because some people are using it for building purposes, not only irrigation, the solar pumped water. Some people are using it for construction, some people are using it for
home consumption even.
Yeah, for home consumption. Some people are using it for irrigation. And just know that life continues. And when you look at how people's lives have been improved with this solar system, especially in rural areas in Senegal, around 46% of rural areas are actually using this kind of technology or initiative in West Africa, where Senegal is.
Yes, and Senegal was once a former French colony. as well. And you could see that in most cases, if you're referring to the West African countries, and most of the people in Senegal are efficient when it comes to speaking French. And to the people who are
Bonjour.
traveling, yes, bonjour, you know.
Okay,
and,
no bon appetit. Okay, let's move on.
Now, it is actually Senegal, like any other post-African country, includes a wide mix of ethnic and linguistic communities, with the largest being the Wolof. They have the Fula and the Serel people, and the Wolof and the French languages are acting as lingua francas, as a class, apparently Senegal is classified as a heavily indebted poor country with a relatively low human development index, and most of the population at the coast and is on the coast and works in agriculture or other food industries.
So you can really tell that it is also trying to boost its economy. But the electricity access has at least reached 88% of its population in urban areas, where in the rural areas it's still at 38, although increasing because of the power, the solar systems that are also coming through. And when you look at the national overall electricity rate across, it is at 64% of the population, like Paul has just mentioned. And global tracking framework estimates at the national access of cleaning solutions are standing at 31% of their population, or their even GDP growth. And when we talk about GDP, we refer to the amount of money that country or that state receives in annually. We're now going to take a break. We do return shortly.
Smart 24, driving business.
1 minute past 9 in the morning, you're watching SMB. And this is the news update around this particular hour. We kick it with the Ministry of Health has unveiled a web-based platform where Ugandans can verify their COVID-19 vaccine status and receive an internationally recognized e-certificate. Now, some users, however, are not able to generate their details, but according to the Health Ministry PRO Emmanuel Ainebiuna, works are ongoing to ensure that all data is captured and reactivated. Reactivations will be made. Now, the portal will now be for Uganda's official online on public COVID-19 vaccine certificate and verification program. And Dr. Alfred Driwale, a manager at the Uganda National Expanded Program on Immunization, said the ministry will have recorded all vaccinated people in their database, and this will be fed into the system very often. Very well, we hope that one works for our country because it will really be a great progress. And moving on, Kampala Metropolitan Deputy Spokesperson Luke Owesjire in regards to police has said that starting today, the force is going to heighten operations against people who are flouting the presidential directive on curfew. Now, Owesjire says that police have noted that the concern that are raising abuse of curfew time for both motorists and pedestrians. It should be noted that as per as the recent presidential directives on COVID-19, the curfew time was set and it must be followed. Now, businesses were opened and also people should be at their homes by 7 p.m. in the evening. But borders were informed to stop operating at 6 p.m., he said in a statement on Tuesday. Now, we're still moving on with the President Museveni and Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Mutebi II have met at State House in Nakasero. Now, the Kabaka was accompanied by the Katikiro Charles Peter Maiga and Prince David Wasajja. Sources said that they discussed several issues, including the proposed land amendment. Now, recently, government announced that it is coming up with new land reforms, including scrapping Milo land, which they say it will be protected interest for both landlords and the Bibanja holders, tenants, and also save them from arbitrary evictions. Now the system is common in Buganda. And now we head into Kenya, where the Kenya's government has released 17.4 billion to fund the first team of the public schools. Now, in a statement issued on Tuesday, the Ministry of Health said 2.62 billion is meant for learners in primary schools, while the 14.85 Kenyan shilling in regards to billion is to support secondary school students. But the ministry said that the release of the fund is to ensure seamless learning in all public schools, asking all principals to ensure that learning goes on very unlimitedly. And now let's move on to China, where the death toll from China floods has jumped to 302 as COVID-19 outbreak complicates the recovery. Now the death toll from floods that ravaged on the central China last month now stands at 302, the local authorities said on Monday. More than triple the last year estimates. Heavy rainfall hit the province of Henan on July 20th, causing flooding in numerous towns and cities of Zhejiang and the province capital of the 12 million people, which was one of the hardest hit areas, with an entire neighborhood submerging and passengers trapped in flooded subway cars. Now, the dramatic video showing people clinging and sealing handles to keep their heads above water shocked the nation and made headlines around the world. And more than 500 passengers were evacuated from the subway lane, authorities said several days after the initial flooding had happened. And we continue to pray for China on that particular story. And now lastly on our foreign news, we'll head into Tanzania, where the Tanzanian Commercial Bank has signed a strategic pact to boost customer convenience. Now the Standard Chartered Bank Tanzania Limited and Tanzania Commercial Bank TCB yesterday signed a strategic partnership that will be enhancing convenience for clients to 84 more branches and also 3,500 bank agents. Now initially, the 6-year-old partnership only involved 30 branches of previously known TPB recently to rebranched TCB. Now, the Standard Chartered Bank Chief Executive Officer Sanjay Rujani said the partnership allows corporate customers of the bank to deposit cash onto their accounts through the wide branch network of Tanzania Commercial Bank. Now, there is an existing system connection that allows for any cash deposited in any branch of TCB to reflect onto the account of Standard Bank customers in the near real time in that particular basis. And now that brings us to our local and foreign update news around here. Now let's look at how forex rates are trading in town. We refer to the Bank of Uganda. The US dollar this particular hour is buying at 3,455 and selling at 3,586. The Japanese yen is buying at 4,781 and selling at 4,992. The euro this particular hour is buying at 3,989 and selling at 4,271. The Kenyan shilling still remains at 30.08 and selling at 34.32. And lastly, the Tanzanian shilling is buying at 124 and selling at 1.84. And a very good morning. If you just joined us, that's all we had for this particular hour on the news updates. My name is RITAH KABANYORO and SMB continues shortly. Very well, 9 minutes past 9 in the morning. What a beautiful day, being the 4th of August. And are you having a good time? Yes, we are here and driving your business, driving businesses together across the country, across the continent and across the globe. A very well good morning. If you just joined in, you can go to our social media pages. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because there is more in a business sense or business perspective, but surely you should not miss out. And for now, let's dive into how to help you, that business of yours, that startup of yours, or that setup that you've got already onto a success. And we're still referring to the 100 advice from the successful entrepreneurs or successful businessmen. And welcome to our business tips.
And definitely there we're heading into our business tip number 51, where we give you the chance, the opportunity for you to at least get a tip on how to set up a business, not only setting it up, but as well continue with what you're doing to at least come up with a successful business. And if I told you on the same track to continue using these particular tips, then maybe can help you yield a more and more successful business. Now on number 51, the tip we have today, we starts with learn to change direction.
Okay.
Learn to change direction. Here, build, test, iterate, reiterate, pivot as you can and all the rest that you can do because most of the time the first product that a startup brings to the market will not meet the market needed. However, every startup ever created has changed direction at some point, and it is impossible to accurately predict every single step that needs to be taken to take a concept from a business plan. If at all you're not changing direction. With changing direction here, I think we mean, how do you change from a line of, okay, you may not change the line of business, but at least you should change the way you're driving your things.
Okay.
If at all, maybe you're used to a situation now, for instance, before COVID came in, most of the traders were used to sitting comfortably in their maybe shops or in their arcades and sitting waiting for the buyers.
They come to buy.
But now with COVID, you've had to realize that if at all you're not efficiently using your smartphone to start looking for your customers, because back then most people would not even feel comfortable giving out their numbers. But now they've realized the only way you can get customers is to give out your numbers
And
to
selling
everyone.
online,
Yes, and selling online. And the only way is creating your social network to grow as bigger as you want. So by changing direction may not mean changing the line of business, but changing the way you're doing your things.
And we have got people, for example, who are selling in their shops. But this time when it happened, I don't want to say when COVID came. I feel like I'm class apart. Like I don't want to say when COVID came. No, I want to find a way of, I don't want to talk about COVID. So when this particular, when the pandemic hit in the country, people had to change their perspective. So you've seen cars packed and they're selling butunda in their cars.
Yes, definitely. And
you have seen people are selling tomatoes in their cars, on their boda.
We even saw some people turning their vans into pickups. Someone cuts off a part of
Wasn't that just propaganda? Or
no, it wasn't propaganda.
Do you know
it was actually active with
in reality?
I remember one time as we were heading to the ends of Nansana, we found an Alphard. And we as the station driver was even shocked to the fact that most of these things were trending on the peak. But then some people went ahead to actually come up with their ideas, and this happened with.
That was Photoshop.
No, it doesn't. It's not Photoshop, because we already have mechanics in the country who can easily do something.
No jacket, but
a jacket, but chemabega, najifula a pickup, but you can easily tell no. Yali Alphard over Yali Regia. So you can see how people were innovative and how people would come up with ideas in and out just to survive in a situation. Kubori enoza chitula mnagamba sina permit nzikiriza tambula mu lockdown. Ne business yange ino tambula. Teyakyusa business ne inakyusa strategy. Again omuntu usakuba customer kwe kufuula emmotoka ye pick up oba okugifuula double cabin of a sort. So
speaking of permit, you remind me of the long queues that were happening yesterday when people were waiting for permit. Let's talk about it briefly as we continue on our business tip, because it has come into the tip, so probably we cannot just walk away without talking about it. But tomorrow we will dive deep into that particular story.
Because actually the government gave drivers a one month to make sure you renew those permits
but
and licenses.
What's happening, we're still away. Tomorrow we'll be having details on that particular story of long queues towards receiving permits. But when we continue on that particular story of changing directions or changing direction in regards to our business or regards to our business, do you think people can find direction or different ways of talking to each other in regards to businesses?
They can.
Or it has to only be action. Like,
no.
I have to sell online, that's an action. I have to send border delivery, that's an action. Like, where does communication has to be very effective? Where does it have?
Well, first of all, when we mention communication is, how do you, because you're going to do an action of saying I'm selling and what. But remember now, communication here starts with efficiently, how do you, because when it's online, that means there is a way you're going to connect to this particular person. Either by giving out your number, or giving out your social medias where you're going
The
to
platforms.
And how do you perceive a customer?
Some of us have been like, I don't want, like my accounts are private, like,
yes,
so they have to change.
You have to change that line of, or your mentality towards that particular situation. Because in most cases, or you need to know, there's an angle just over to Nulam kati enamba yange. Some people were actually scared back then. Nti omuntu oyinza mu enamba enadam nataniko kutawanya butawanya. Nakujja ku business gundi. That is why most people tebagala gabanyo namba most of women. Kati omukazi alaba okuwa omusajja enamba. Omuvubuka agenda kuyingira inbox ye oluva okusaba engoye oba okusaba business agenda tandika musumbuwa kumugamba bugambo bumuwomereza. Okay, it may be necessary at a point. No, in most cases these people are there for distracting businesses.
Encourage that, by the way.
So that is why in most cases women feel like okuwe namba y'omusajja.
Though some people are getting spouses from there. But we won't go into that, but we do not encourage that. And still moving on.
We do not encourage. Now why you shoot your shot, you never know. Things may happen.
And you can see some men's perspective. But moving on to our 50 to 50 second tip around is getting used to the growth. Wow, this one is a nice problem to have, actually, getting used to the growth. Scale back and focus on your core areas. Re-evaluate or what is your strength or what your strengths are, and then get people around you who can help. Maybe thinking about pitching for investment and also making sure you are into growing fast. If you want to start up to succeed, a good product and emissions are not always enough. Okay, so what's enough? Crisp execution rather than a startup. Starting up a successful business is never easy. Okay, which one are you picking here? Like not always going for big great ideas for the startups. Like
no, you get used to the to when they say get used to growth. It is like this actually happens biologically. Even when you were a kid, you took stages in life. When you're still a young baby, we all took stages from crawling to you know that situation where we learned how to walk. Then after some time, you started walking like on your own. So there's those stages and to get used to growth. Until growth, what does growth? Growth takes time. What one would say, it takes a process. That is why most entrepreneurs will tell you trust
and here
the
they are
process.
waiting, they are telling you actually not to wait too long for that natural process to occur. You have to go out there and run for because they're giving examples of pitching, like going out there and pitching. That pitching is talking to someone to impress someone with that idea of yours. And this is what this one makes me I think when I had to, you know, borrow clothes, because I didn't have some clothes, so I had to wear to impress.
Hey.
What is it? You have done it before. You mean you've never done it before?
Way back from school times. I'm not
talking about impressing.
No, it may not be impressing certain things, but just impressing the fact that and they want official clothes. Stuff.
Even someone asked me, wapakinzewa nyap, wapakinzewa. Like the way we dress sometimes, like the way you appear to someone, that impression you give, that is what we're talking about growth here. Like, can you go for it? Can you try to, you know, go for it, go for your expectations, because it will not come. Because these are the things we make happen, or that we drive to happen. Because growth will not come to you, Paul. Do you know that?
Definitely.
Every day you wake up in the morning, you go to your shop, sit, wait for the customer. that will always
it has
be like
become
that.
your
The
routine.
year and the year ends.
Nothing. Tochuka, you're used to that statistic, that static way of running your own business. But if at all you evolve in that growth of the business, you take action. The business is growing as well as your mentality and your mindset. And to know business.
We have young developers, for example. Let me give it to young developers, because we have people now getting out of campus, university. They are jobless at this time, but you have got an idea, like you have got a package. Let me tell you. But then do you know why at some point they are failing? We're talking about growth now. Why you're failing to get hands-on and getting support? Because you're sitting onto your idea. How about, yes, I know you may not have that good shirt. How about you borrow it from your brother, or you borrow it from wherever person it is? Or how about you ask someone a number, a contact, because these are all entities of growth. Contact of, let us say, who is very good at helping young people as they are developing in this country. And
Mobile government.
Let's just mention, okay, let's mention Ham. Always okunonya number ya Ham, Hamis Chigundu. Yes, like, because you have an idea, and you, by the way, first thing you have to believe your idea and be confident about it. Because Bobeda onga tokirizant what I have really will make sense to someone. You're going to sit there all the time. Ask for contact, know the person where you're going, and then dress towards that. Because when someone sees you, he sees you're serious. You can imagine, okay, when you're appearing to come for a job, for Smart 24 TV, maybe you want, to be a presenter, and then you don't come as the way you are right now. Like, how do you think someone will just know? Okay. They will not even see presentation on you, but yet it's inside. But you have to bring it out for us to even see. Ogenda nonyo mlimo gwa fashionista. Fashionista, is it fashionista or guava fashion designer and what? But the way you go and appear to the person giving you the job, ajalo zamagambe obogenda nonyo mlimu gwa makeup artist. You have to have made up already, like impress someone akasige boka kubye if you're lady.
No, even the way you carry yourself, tell someone this one is dealing in something. Nditosobola kujja nogamba muntu I'm fashioned, I'm dealing in fashion. Ngakumubiri gote kuli kyamaanyi kiraga nti otegeera fashion. Because in most cases just sang about fashion nga ine kigoigo ekyayambadde ngomanya kati ono naka fashion yono. Well, they have their weird fashion taste.
Away from that, gwebonda about like this, how you just see me. What job can you give me at this particular point?
At this particular point, I would think you're a banker. Hey, I would say RITAH is working for a bank now.
A bank. I don't have I see bank tellers. Which exactly? A teller?
No, in most cases,
what teller?
When you're a banker, it depends on how most people carry on themselves. It also depends on personality.
Most of the women I see bank tellers have got the painted nails. And no, it also depends. I don't have them. I mean,
it depends on the person. But when you look at the dress code, forget about the accessories that come to it. Okay. But in most cases, when you look at the dress code and you say, now this one is definitely.
So you have given me this morning
a bank teller job. Yes, or someone who is at the bank section for the accounts opening.
Next, okay. When I look at you, I think you.
I'm a lawyer. No. I'm a president.
No, you're not a lawyer neither. You're a president. Omanyi guno omulimu gwa babadde Sabit
for
parliamentary communications things.
And I look I can actually do that
as
particular.
As if you can be a young bana bakansala baita batya MP.
Youth MPs.
I've given you youth MP this morning.
So I can stand for 2026 definitely.
Okay, away from that, we are trying to let you know actually on how you can boost growth onto your businesses, how you can bring it out and it shows physically on you so that it's not hard for you to go on pitching. Moving on to our next tip.
Moving on, this one is a tricky one. Help out competitors.
Okay.
Which is Yes, we are talking about your competitors in this particular.
This one.
Competition can surely help you stay at the top of your game, but you can also derive benefits from helping your competitors. This way, you can create friends who are there for you if the need arises. These people can also help you get contacts in the industry and make sure you spot the next opportunity.
Okay, helping competitors. Why are we even saying this one is tricky? Why did you even just say this one is tricky?
No, this one is tricky because it depends on
People
how.
like you.
No, do you know why I'm saying it's a bit tricky? Because depending on the way you perceive your competitor. In most cases, when you're going to help your competitor, someone may think, oh, inacho obala. Tikakati ayagala kunzibako skill yange oba ayagala kulabanga bichi byenkola biteke uwe. But then you could see that helping them, musobola banga mulimu healthy competition, but when you're helping them also grow as you're also growing. Nti abantu babalabanga mukwatagana kibategeeza ono asobola okujjeewo n'omureferringa ne wa competitor n'agamba kati kino si kiina naye RITAH kiina. Oba omuntu tagende ba RITAH n'agamba no, I don't have it but Sonko has it, so you can go to Sonko's.
And this one brings me to omanya abantu abetundirako ku dduuka. Sometimes I wonder and I say, what is okay, me, okay, don't judge me people, but me, I can't.
You're not trusting someone in the business.
Like, I don't know how it happens. Like, someone is off, over he's somewhere fun, then you hear them like sending a message,
No, in most cases, I think businesses is singer. Ziva kumuntunga muvudde wala until you've been together in that
with your neighbor
with your no, if you go to most arcades with people who have been in that particular code or a area in that particular arcade for like 5 years, most of them tend more so in the small yes, on the SMEs they build that trust. Ntikale waba ulira tayagala kwata mu sente asobola okutundira n'atakwata mu sente naye n'azitereka.
Don't you see now how competition comes with trust? Like, so if I'm to really have a great I mean a healthy competition, I have to trust my competitor.
You have to make sure, because helping them out comes with trust. With trust, you have to build that trust foundation. To the fact that if at all you know that someone is maybe sick and abale so business here inako if some emergency against him ngatogenda tugambe kubbat into chonna, but you're going to sell for them at an amount that you think is favorable. Waliwo omuntu abamu babamanyi prices naye ng'asobola okunyiga n'akuteeka mu situation naye teeka mu kifo nti business naye ye. Now those are the competitors we're talking about, nti omuntu ajja kujja akimanyi tozze ggulawe ajja atundireko munne naye amutundire at a good price naye munne waafunirako.
And I have seen people which
this is even more
it leaves me wondering, like I go to someone, I ask for a product or service, kale tebachina at that point, but do you know that their neighbor be having that particular service? No, you even ask, I even ask nizo kujawe chintu chino kale ndagirira wenyiza, they just look at you and and then when you go to the next shop, actually you find someone has it and you just wonder like what kind of collaboration is around there. So just appealing on to last one as we conclude on this particular business tip for our business tips this morning. Let us have a healthy competition. Let us wish for ourselves very well. How can you conclude on this one, Paul, and you take us for a break?
What I think with the healthy competition, I would say, like I've seen this so common with the people dealing in shoes. Not only shoes or even clothing, because these people have realized their customers are seasonal. And with clothing, sometimes you may have a different size and your competitor has a different size. So by building this competition, it is going to help you as a person, like building a healthy competition for yourself and changing and also helping out with your competitor. It is going to help you establish first a good working environment around you. And then secondly, to tap a number of customers, because they will definitely understand that you people are working as a team as well. You never know, something may come up and you may find a problem when it comes, maybe you may face an emergency that needs these people to come in too and help you as well. But if you don't help out your competitors, they also shun away when it comes to this particular situation. But for now, we do take a short commercial break. We do return shortly. This is SMB. Good morning. Smart 24, driving business.